Now, there are a couple of other things that we want to focus on here. And one of them has to do with behaviors that will lower your immune system. So there's kind of two here. Number one is medicines that suppress immune function. And many of you may take them. Medicines that suppress your immune system. These are things like steroids, and some of you may be on like asthma inhalers. Some of you may be on oral steroid medication for pain. Some of you may be on steroids for inflammatory conditions right now. Understand that steroids suppress the immune system's ability to help fight infection. This is why one of the side effects on the package, when you read it on the insert, is be aware that this can cause an increased risk for colds and flus. But another very common one are your antihistamines. People don't realize that these drugs suppress your immune system's activation, and so antihistamines are another really common medication that can suppress immune function. You've also got drugs, acid reflux medication. So if you're talking about antacids, so, drugs that are used to treat, acid reflux, things like Nexium and Prilosec and Tagamet and Zantac, some of your proton pump inhibitors, those types of medications. When you suppress stomach acid, you stop your body's ability to fight infection, especially if you get exposure through the food that you're eating. So if you're getting oral exposure in that way, you can knock out your acid. Remember, acid's one of our weapons against infection. So you got to be very, very cautious about, about if you're on medicines. My advice would be simply, if you're on a medicine that's an absolute, medical necessity for you to take, you might consider calling your doctor and asking if there's an alternative, something that might not suppress your immune system. But if you're taking, antihistamines for allergies or antacids, you might consider some natural alternatives or other options. Like for an antihistamine, so there's some combination products. Like I have something called Histassist, which helps to stabilize your mast cells and support a healthy histamine response as opposed to an overly aggressive. And for some people, it's a strong enough of a supplement that they don't actually need to take antihistamines. Same thing with antacids. As a general rule of thumb, we don't want to suppress the immune system right now. So there's some gastric mucin coaters. There's some different supplements like marshmallow and aloe and a couple of others that work really, really well to coat the stomach lining so as to prevent some of those symptom regurgitations that you might have. There's actually a product called GI that I recommend for those of you who are trying to maybe wean off of some of those over-the-counter antacids and avoid an acid reflux rebound type of crisis. So, but those are strategies. Again, these suppress the immune system. We don't necessarily want to do those things consistently. And then you also want to be aware too. So we got medicines that suppress the immune system, but then we also have behaviors as well. And so some of those behaviors that suppress the immune system that you should be changing. One right now is alcohol consumption. Alcohol is notorious first of all, it's a diuretic, so it causes you to pee more and can dehydrate you. But secondly, it causes the loss of vitamins and minerals, nutrients. So alcohol is a nutrient. Basically, it's a nutrient thief. It causes you to lose and pee out a number of your different B vitamins and other minerals like magnesium, and so it leaves you kind of nutritionally in a place of deficit and makes you more susceptible to developing a cold or a flu as a result of that nutritional deficit. So alcohol is one of those behaviors, and some people are like, well, I only have one glass a night. Well, that's enough. That's enough to do it. Alcohol, that is enough to suppress your immune system. My advice right now is don't consume alcohol if you're worried about your immune system and about whether or not you might pick up something like the coronavirus. And then part two to this next one is smoking. And maybe you don't smoke, but maybe you're around other smokers. So this is also inclusive of secondary smoke or secondhand smoke. Be very, very careful that you're not getting exposure to secondhand smoke. during this time frame or during this problem. So that many of you might be doing things like vaping, also suppresses the immune system. Many of you might be, again, getting secondhand smoke. Some of you may be smoking marijuana. Even if it's medicinal marijuana, you have to understand it's still going to cause an immunosuppression. It's still going to cause a reduction in your immune system. And so you got to be real careful. Another behavior that gets people into trouble, and this is a healthy behavior, right? And that is exercise. And I'm not saying not to exercise. I want you to exercise, but right now is not the time to go out in public, in a public place like a gym, again, where we're going back to public places that might that are perfect for spreading, right? The gym where people are sweating and people are breathing heavy, and so all their potential for infection, you're there, you're open to it. If you work out overly aggressive, so it's not that you can't exercise, but it's really aggressive exercise that can create this type of problem that basically suppresses your immune system transiently or temporarily. So exercising too aggressively right now might not be the best thing, especially if it's in a group setting or in a public place. So those things are kind of my top 8 strategies, if you will, for, protecting yourself right now. Because again, there is no treatment. You can go to the hospital with this stuff. There's not a treatment that you're going to be able to get from a hospital unless you're in acute respiratory distress, which is kind of it's one of the things that's affecting people after the virus. So the virus runs its course and then you develop acute respiratory distress syndrome, and that's what people are dying from, but that's what can be treated. The acute respiratory distress, ventilators can be used and breathing apparatuses can be used, but there's nothing that medicinally can be done to actually treat the virus and to speed up its course or to help it exit your body better. So you have to protect yourself naturally by making intelligent decisions over the course of at least the next few months as this thing either burns out or takes its course through.
Hey, and if you missed the earlier part of this series, click right here so you can go back and get caught up. The information there might be critical to helping you on your path to better health. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe for updates below. Have a great day.